Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest tonight is filmmaker Stimson Snead, and also Tim Travers himself, Samuel Dunning. How's it going, guys?
Great. How are you?
Pretty good.
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, I just got done seeing your movie Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox. That movie was such a fun sci-fi, dark humor. What the fuck did I just watch in a fun way type of film?
Well, that is always the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Not the fun way part, just the what the fuck. That's what we're going for.
All right. So, how'd you come up with this crazy story?
Well, the best art I always like to think is reaction. When you're inspired by something else. I was at a film festival and I saw another feature film about time travel, and I really, really hated it. Like, just could not stand it. It was every trope I despise in science fiction. So I went out, I got really, really drunk, and I basically outlined a short film of the movie I would want to make instead on a napkin. And the next day, after the hangover wore off, I turned it into a script. A few months later, met Sam. And, we figured that would be the end of it until like a year later when circumstances came together that we decided to expand it into a feature in a ridiculously short period of time.
How short of period of a time?
90 days.
Wow, that is pretty short.
There was no script. The day I called up Sam, asked if he thought was something he'd want to do as a feature, or what would we want the thing to be. He was on board. I started writing, and we rolled a camera 90 days from when I started writing.
Wow, that's amazing. So was Samuel your ideal for Tim Travers?
I had not met Sam when I wrote the character. I actually wrote the character for myself and then decided I couldn't do it. I wasn't up to it acting-wise, and I shelved it for a couple months until I met Sam, and I immediately knew he was the one. And because the short went so well, there was never really any doubt about him reprising the role. I really don't think I would have done the film if Sam had not been able to come back to it, just because he is that character.
Oh, he is. Let's talk about your character, Sam. Playing Tim Travers. You must have had to have been a method actor because you played so many different roles, so many different personalities, and you just nailed each of them to a T. It just felt like where this was going. So how'd you prepare yourself to play these different personalities, and how did you want to portray Tim Travers in this crazy time traveling experiment?
Well, to be honest, yeah, I probably would have helped if I was method, but I'm not. But I mean, we probably got me about as close as possible there because most of the movie is me having generally manic, insane energy, and from the get-go of the crazy short shoot we had and how fast we had to move, I kind of had that headspace the whole time anyway, whether I wanted to or not. So I think that definitely aided things. Yeah, no, I've kind of said it a handful of times, but it almost feels like I almost blacked out on set and then like would wake up the next day and we do it again. And anytime Stimson was like moving on, I was like, all right, so I guess I did good enough moving on. Great. We're on to the next thing.
So
that's pretty much how the system worked on set.
So Sam, how much fun was it having your own orgy?
You mean day one of filming?
Yep. Scene 2.
Definitely
on the first day.
Yeah, definitely got everybody very much on the same page about what kind of movie we were making from day one, and also just also immediately showed me just how much we could get away with and how much fun we could have. So, of course, it was a blast.
I know.
Yeah, Sam says he's not method, but I assure you, I watched him on set during the orgy scene. He got real method.
Oh, I've had plenty of experience being, very saucy with myself. Don't worry.
Oh, I know. I bet you Stimson was right behind the camera getting wet, too.
There were plenty of towels. Don't worry.
Yeah. Actually, we were all pretty wet. It was the temperature was actually sweltering in that room. Listen, Fun insider story. The sweat dripping on Sam's body, 100% real. We did not add that. That was just the heat.
It was warm. It was very warm, yeah.
And the smoke machine, you could basically wipe the grime off your skin. It was honestly a really disgusting way to start production.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
You guys had great chemistry on the film too, Stimson. You played this crazy hitman. Your mission was to, kill Tim. And I love how you guys played off each other. It felt like you guys were like improving off of each other, which made it really unique and different in the film between your two characters.
I don't think of Helter as crazy. I think of Helter as someone who Tim is driving crazy.
Yeah.
Like Helter, I think, is actually has it together at the beginning of the film, but he just starts to unravel. It was a lot of fun getting to act with Sam. I never really actually thought about you and I having chemistry, Sam, but I felt like we were working on so much other stuff on set together and just having to move so quickly that when we were on camera, it was just kind of an extension of what we were doing behind the camera.
I would agree, and I think that actually it plays well into our relationship where I, the whole time just sort of like, Stimson, I don't have time for this. What? And that's kind of the whole relationship with me and Helter, is where you're just like, no, I need you to walk me through what the hell is going on. I'm like, I don't know who you are. What? Just like, we have stuff to do. Shush.
That's funny.
One of the things I love is every time Sam's character meets mine, because Tim is so in spite of all the different versions of Tim we get, there are certain aspects of his personality that are just incredibly consistent. And no matter which version of him is meeting Helter, he's just uniformly disinterested every single time. That is just his default reaction to this guy.
Now, how'd you guys get Felicia Day onto the feature film? Plus, she's also the producer. I thought she was really great and comical in the film. How'd she become part of the film and the producer?
The traditional way, blackmail.
Blackmail?
No.
I have a bunch of shit on her, don't worry.
Yeah. Well, you do. Well, we both do now. Ha-ha! Because we've all worked together.
Yeah.
No, Felicia was invaluable to the production, and especially the stuff she's been doing since we wrapped production to help us promote the film. Felicia's been a godsend and a really just nice person to work with. The way we got her on the film, though, is honestly really boring. We sent her agents the script. The agent liked it. They showed it to Felicia. She liked it. And then we haggled, as you do. But it was a very boring process. Casting director, calls agent, go from there.
Hey, she's perfect in the film because she had that great chemistry with Samuel as well. I love, how they had those, intimate interactions with each other in the film. It felt like, they really knew each other for a very long time, and and also kept you on your edge of on your seat. What's going to happen between those two characters? It's like, is it going to be love, or is it going to be someone's going to turn on each other, or is it going to be just some consequences, or what? And then my favorite quote from Felicia's character in the film was, "Time is a cruel bitch." I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, we try to get a lot of time-related comments in the film. Now, Sam's chemistry with Felicia is great, and the best part about her character is she's the one and only character in the entire film who is just not even a little impressed with him at all. She is, even when she discovers that he's a time traveler, she's shocked by it, but gets over it pretty quickly. Sam is just fundamentally unimpressive to her. And I love that dynamic on screen because he kind of gets to walk over every other character in the film.
Yeah, and I mean, it's much more, it gives me much, a more fun thing to play with on set as opposed to just the one note of being generally impatient with everybody. It's like, oh, there's this one other person other than myself who I can, have a little time with, where it's actually like, okay, we're on some sort of a level playing field here. I can actually have a conversation with you.
Yeah. I always feel like the two characters can see a lot of themselves in each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it played very well. Now let's talk about Joe McHale. He's a talented actor. I loved his role. You can tell he was having so much fun as that conspiracy theorist podcaster. You know he really loved that role. You can just tell.
Oh, we literally, in our first edit of the film, that scene is almost 15 minutes longer. Just because of how much material Joel was improvising on set. A lot of people have asked if the film is improv. There's honestly almost no improv in the entire film. Like, Sam is very careful, close to the script. All the actors are. Joel is the only one who really goes off book, and even then it's in a very kind of confined, controlled setting. So it's not, with the exception of his character, it's not a very improv-y movie. The weird thing with Joel is, that character was actually written for Joel because he had already been attached to a different film that I have wanted to make, which didn't happen. So he was other than Sam, he was the first person we contacted, just out the gate, once we knew we were going to make the Tim Travers movie.
Hey, you did a good choice to pick him in the film. I mean, you just have a lot of great, talented actors in this film, which really made it fun and good, in my opinion. So, let's talk about the time machine. How'd you come up with that design, and how'd you build it?
So we had this phenomenal set designer, Vincent DeFelix, and he sent me probably a dozen sketches of different time machine ideas. Because in the original script, and Sam can even speak to this, all the way back in the short film, there's no description of the time machine. It's described as just a door frame that you can see through in one direction and black in the other direction. So when Vincent was sending sketches, some of them were very boxy. They're all very science fiction-y, lots of different ideas. But on the first page, right up in the corner, the size of my thumbnail, tucked in like an apology, was this one little triangular sketch. And I remember taking one look and just being like, that one right there, that's our time machine. And I was so proud of that design because Vincent and I went back and forth with sketches for about a week. So I would make some modifications. He would make some modifications going off that original triangle. And then we got a computer rendering. And then once we actually got to set for the short, I basically spent several weeks on an information embargo because I did not want Sam to see this thing till he physically got there. So I explained to crew, don't send him pictures, nothing. I do not want Sam to see this thing until the first time he's on set, because he's only ever read the door frame in the script.
Right.
How was that moment for you?
It was pretty great. I mean, it was impressive each time. It was just sort of like, I had such a janky mental image of what it was going to be, and like very low-fi, and then I walk on, there's this monolith in front of me, and I'm like, oh, well, shit, we're making a movie. Got it, okay.
One of the saddest things for me was when we tore down that first time machine. So I was so sad. The second time it was a little easier emotionally when it came down, although I was just mostly terrified that I couldn't do any more reshoots of the feature once it came down. Vincent, when he built it, nearly killed himself the first time out. And I remember calling him when it came time for the feature, being like, hey, remember that prop that you said was one of the hardest damn things you've ever had to build? I need you to do it a second time, but bigger.
Oh, Sam like that.
Yeah, we added about a foot to it, I think, and a lot more artistic detailings. So also the warehouse we shot in for the feature, unlike the short, is a smaller and much more packed warehouse of stuff. So even though the machine isn't much bigger, it makes it feel a lot bigger in that room.
It felt like it when I watched it, because I was going to get ready to ask you where you filmed that at, and plus the pub with the poor actress who played the bartender. I felt for her.
That's my friend Nicole Murray. Nicole Murray seems to specialize in roles where she gets covered in gallons and gallons of blood, viscera, or other human organs. Like I don't. Maybe it's the red hair, but if you check like her IMDb, easily half the photos are her covered in blood on some production or another.
She's addicted to blood. I've talked to some actresses and actors who've been in horror films that get covered in blood. Some of them enjoy it and some of them don't, especially if they're like working outside where it's cold and that blood dries up.
Yeah, we actually had issues with that in our set because when we were filming, it was on a warm day, 10 to 15 degrees. So, and at night it would get below 0.
Dang, that's horrible.
Oh, it was brutal. Like, all those outdoor scenes of, like, Sam and Felicia, Sam's hiding it well, but he's in physical pain, like, from how cold it was.
I also have a considerable amount, like 3 layers of socks on and, like, 2 to 3 layers of, like, long johns under my costume. So, yeah, there's a lot of padding going on, too.
One of the my happiest moments was the first day we were out there, the first AD and the second AD brought electric hand warmers for the entire crew as gifts. So we all had these little battery-powered hand warmers that would just be in our pockets. So whenever we were on camera, just hands in our pockets, just try to stay warm.
My favorite shot in the film was where Sam played the higher being, where he was all covered in white. And I love that zoom shot where he's all surrounded with white, and it just radiated. It felt like you're feeling the radiation of heaven, flowing towards you while you're watching it. Who made that holy costume for Sam and then all that white?
That would be our costumer, Taylor. And she was recreating what she had done on the short film. That was actually one of the things where we were just keeping to what we did on the short. So, like, the original design for the character that we just call Zeta God, or God Tim, was to be Dr. Manhattan.
Oh,
but
sweet.
That became immediately impossible. That became immediately obvious that there was no way in hell we could afford that for a short. So instead, we just took Tim's exact costume and color inverted it. So in fact, it's even an in-joke. When you get to the end credits and the title card comes up, it's a color invert of the opening credits. And so we just did that again for the feature. The only change we made is he had this absolutely beautiful but perfectly ridiculous-looking wig on the short that we could not justify for the feature because there's a point later on where his hair changes on screen. So I still wish I could have found a way to bring back that wig. That wig was a thing of beauty.
I miss that wig.
Yeah. Didn't you keep it?
No, but I have a very fun photo of Casey wearing it at some point.
Nice. Yeah, all the folks on the arts departments this film really brought their A game because it was a small film production-wise. Taylor was basically a one-woman team. She had a couple folks who would circulate and help out on given days. But when it came to building the costumes, she was the one who was doing all of that. We had our entire makeup and hair department was exactly 2 people doing everything for every character, which thankfully was usually just Sam. So yeah, I remember the first time I went to the makeup show, I was like, all right, guys, are you going to make me beautiful? And they kind of look at me and go, nope.
Hey, Sam, I know you kept your time traveler's uniform. I know you have that uniform.
I have my shirt from the short. I do have that. So that what I wear on Joel's podcast, Bunratty's Rant, I do have that shirt still. But the rest of it, I think we're giving to a museum or a Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, that's the idea. The costumes for Tim, in case we ever had to do reshoots or pickups or a sequel or something like that, those are all in hard storage with production. And yeah, if the film ever gets popular and out there, we would probably donate it to something.
Now let's talk about the visual effects and the color, the cosmic color that was going around in the film. Who did that?
Well, that we just made a deal with a Lovecraftian god and did it practically. No, it's special. It's a company called Mode FX in Spokane, Washington, who are fantastic. They did everything on the show, Z Nation, every major effects thing that goes through Washington. They had their fingers in the pie somewhere. It's run by Jason McKee and Travis Berry, who, in addition to doing all the effects, Jason was actually the film's editor. So, working on the edit of the film. So Jason and I spent most of last year working together almost constantly, getting the film finished before he went into effects with a whopping 540 effect shots.
Dang, that's a lot of shots.
For an independent feature at this budget, it's an absurd number of shots. And a lot of them are just Sam's face over and over again because we're doing all the split screens. At several points, we're using deep fakes. There's actually a close-up of the film of Sam at one point. That's just a completely different actor. It's not even a group of actors. We got it on a pickup day, and Sam wasn't there. So it's just a completely different actor with Sam's face.
Oh, that's pretty wild. Now, let's talk about that Thomas Dolby song, She's Blinded with Science. How'd you get permission to get that film into an indie film like that?
I have no idea. Like, that song has 3 different rights holders, and to get them to approve it, we had to show them the scene that it's in, which is the orgy. I am amazed they said yes. Like, I'm shocked. I remember being like, well, it'll be expensive to pay for the rights to this song, but there's no way they're going to say yes. What?
Hey, that was pretty amazing you did that, because that's like really hard. That takes a lot of time and patience. Sometimes that costs money, but at least you're lucky. At least you didn't have to pay for it. That's pretty cool.
No. That song's not free.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you just got, okay.
No, we had to pay for it. Thomas Dolby is a fantastic musician, and his lawyers know it.
I bet. He's probably like laughing, going, yep, I'm getting some money from this film.
I can't speak to that.
Now let's go back to you, Sam. So, did you have like any type of memorable moments, on the set when you were filming, or was there like certain scenes that you wanted to change a little bit about the character, or like what Stimson said, everything was on script? Did you guys ever talk about maybe trying something a little bit different with the character Tim?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, we were moving at such a clip that, like, I know when right before we started filming, Stimson's like, it's a feature. We're going to have more room to play. We're going to have more room to, like, try some stuff out. And, like, hey, I'm as guilty of that as any other director. When you go into a movie, you're like, whatever. We'll have so much time. And then you get into it and you're like, no. We're just going to get it and move on. And, like, so as far as improv is concerned, no, not much made it in. But what little I did, it's funny, what little I did, like improv-wise or kind of going a little off script, did actually make it in, which is very few things. But I was very pleased the first time I saw it. I was like, I remember, like, of what I do remember of what performance that I gave at any given time, which is very little. It was usually these weird little things where I did go off script, and then I saw most of those ended up in the film and not that. So that very much tickled me. Like, there's a scene at the end of the film where we're talking with Keith David's character, and I get extremely frustrated with the scenario, and I just jump up and down and yell, "What did that mean?" And that was me. It was also a very stressful evening just because of a variety of factors, and it was just getting late. And that was actually my own frustration with how I perceived the evening was coming out in the scene. And I was so elated that actually stayed in, because it was one of my favorite takes, just because, like, it was the most amusing to me, and it also just spoke the most, like, it worked perfectly for the scene. And to add to that, one of my favorite set moments was from that scene. Keith David yells at me at the very end, and it's sort of cut off in the film. But after he yelled at me, I walked over him after we'd cut camera, and I put my hand out and shook his hand. I said, "Sir, I've never been so honored to be called a whiny little motherfucker by anybody." And he just looked back at me in typical Keith David booming voice and fashion, just went, I was elated.
Hey, that's cool. He has a unique voice.
Sam has, honestly, very wonderful instincts as an actor, and especially with that Tim Travers character. I mean, it's not me being nice that most of his improvs and stuff made it in there, because 9 times out of 10, if he had an idea, it's going to be a good idea. I remember one scene, which wasn't an improv, it was just a line that wasn't in the script that Sam pulled me aside, just like, let me have this line. I'm going to say this. Please just let me say this. And we did it on set. It's like, well, fuck, it's hilarious. We can't not do it. It's a bit where he's in front of the machine going, and I know that you know that I know that you know, because you know that I know that you know.
Hey, that was...
Yeah, that was not in the script.
Fully just trying to make sure everyone was as fully confused as I was at that given time.
It's a confusing movie, and There was one big change, actually, between the short and the film with Sam's. It wasn't a change with Sam's performance, because we knew going into it we had to do this. But the whole kind of conceit of the short was that Tim had no arc at all. He was a character who was obstinately opposed to demonstrating any sort of change or growth. And for a little 20-minute short, that is a ton of fun and really entertaining and makes for a really great lead character. But before I even started writing the script, like going all the way back to that phone call with Sam about if we were going to do a feature, the first thing we both knew is this character needs to have an arc. Like, there needs to be something actually meaningful at the core of this character, and that would impact the performance a lot. So to me, there is so it always made it when we were on set, whenever we were shooting a scene that had also been in the short, it was always very weird filming those scenes, because Sam had already done it, but slightly differently as the other old version of Tim. And so it was always odd for me.
Now, how'd you guys get Danny Trejo in the film? That was cool.
Same way we got Felicia and Keith and Joel. We had our casting director reach out to his agents. They said yes. And then we negotiated. And then we brought them out there on a plane, filmed, and that was about it. The weird thing, though, is because it was such a short pre-production, like only 3 months from just 90 days from when we decided to make a movie, in the cases of half these actors, we were still casting when the film was already being filmed. Like, we didn't get Keith until maybe 2-3 days before he was on set. We didn't even know we had him. Like, to the point where we already had a backup actor lined up. In fact, every one of the celebrity roles, there is a backup actor we had waiting in the wings. And all those backup actors actually played different smaller roles in the film because I wanted to include them. So, like, the bartender girl, Nicole, who gets covered in blood, she was going to be the backup for Felicia if something had happened. The man at the bar who's eavesdropping on the conversation, he would have been in the Danny Trejo role. Tony Dupe.
What about the
drunk so much? His performance is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
How about the drunk that was laying by the pub? Was he back?
That is my best friend, Alex. Best friend of 15 years, who I have tried to torture and humiliate in the course of my career in almost every film I've ever done. I have killed him on screen dozens of times in different... He's my own little, like, you know how Sam Raimi torches his little brother?
Yeah.
Alex is that. And so that was me just shamelessly embarrassing my best friend on screen. Now, the funny thing, though, about that scene is Alex is actually a very gifted designer, engineer, and architect. So the prop for the sign, the Max Entropy bar that's next to the homeless guy, he actually built that.
Really?
So... Oh, yeah. And so that was part of the reason to have him play the homeless guy. So he's sitting next to the prop that he built.
That's interesting. So, will there ever be any more adventures of Tim Travers to see what he's going to be doing next?
It depends on right now, we just want to sell the film and get to another film and get to work together again. But yeah, both Sam and I have ideas for what we would do with the character.
They're fun. It's worth expanding.
Yeah. Oh. I can tell you this, though. It would if we ever did do a sequel, it would in no way, shape, or form be a retread of the first one. If anything, it would barely have anything to do with time travel. It would be a whole different take on things.
That's interesting. So, Stimson, have you ever thought of making a action figure for Sam? Give him a Tim Travers action figure?
Well, we do have a digital 3D model of him.
Why not an action figure?
Do it.
action figure we have of the film is the time machine.
Aw. Well, now you just need a little me to be walking out of it.
You know, we could make that just a little Sam, just in front, just screaming or humping the machine.
Yeah.
No, it should be the bit where you get shot up the butthole.
It could be that. You could also have a special edition, a special orgy edition. You know, you're really there's so many ways to go here.
I mean, the orgy edition, though, wouldn't that just be a big pink blob?
Yeah, pretty much, or with just tearaway clothes.
Pink blob with name tags.
Yeah.
Lots of name tags.
That whole butthole scene in the orgy, it reminded me of the scene from The Boys. Did you ever see The Boys? They had a scene where a superhero was like shrunk and went into the guy's butt. Kind of reminded me a little bit about that.
Well, Sam, you could just have that image of quite literally going up your own butt.
Well, it's kind of Tim appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is to some degree metaphorically and and actually up his own ass.
Yeah. Sometimes multiple times in the same shot.
We should be using that more often in Q&As.
Yeah. You're right. We should do that.
Hey, you know something?
I gotta say, one of my favorite ones, because when we were filming it, it was our first day. The scene where it's the three Tims,
Yeah,
the human centipeding down the line. That was probably the very first effect shot we filmed. First split screen sort of thing we did in the whole film, because the only scene we'd filmed before was in the radiation chamber, where that's actually a different actor because the faces are covered.
Yeah.
And that was such a case of everybody on set having no idea what I was talking about, and me just going, "Trust me, it'll work. I'm going to put the camera here. Sam's going to do this, and we're going to do it as a." I remember we had to do that weird 5:15. We had to do this weird. I was doing math to try to get the timing so you could react to yourself in shot.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Yeah.
Now, Stimson, if you were going to write a film just about you and Sam, what type of film would you guys do together?
Love story, obviously.
Duh.
Yeah.
I feel like we almost already made that film. We can just make another one.
Yeah, true. But, I wasn't really a participant. I'm one of the antagonists in Tim.
It's true, but you are reflected in Tim as well, so you're there whether you want to be or not.
Yeah, there is a Sam plays the hell out of it, but in terms of the writing, there is a lot more of me in that character than I care to admit.
Yeah, I bet you were jealous when Sam got to do all that fun stuff, right?
God, no, that looked like a ton of work. No, I can say I did not have even one moment of jealousy of him in this film. Sam is doing a huge amount of work, and honestly, we're kind of beating the crap out of him in the course of that film. Every time he's getting shot, falling over. I remember there was a shot when my character shoots him, I think the third time that I kill you. Sam's actually on a stunt rope, so he's getting launched backwards into pads from the hips. Also, I remember when there's an explosion. Yeah, it's amazing you never got hurt.
Hey, if at any point I felt like I was going to, you would have heard it from me, because I've been beat up on sets before. It's no fun, and I'm well trained now that if any time I'm like, yeah, this looks dangerous, I will let everybody know. But we had an amazing stunts coordinator, Howdy,
Alex Tersey.
Alex Tersey, and the man's amazing and makes you feel like you're the greatest stunt person ever at any given time. I'm sure he says that to all the gals, but he's fantastic.
Yeah, it was, in all truth, an incredibly safe set. It's also true what Sam's saying about injuries, because, we've all been on sets where something has gone wrong. I remember one of the very few first productions I was ever in, this guy takes a right hook at me, and I step into it, and then it misses me by about a foot. And I remember on the third take, stepping into it, feeling the pad that I'm stepping on accidentally start to slide forward, and sort of realizing in slow motion, oh, that punch is going to connect. Nearly knocked me. I probably spun 180 degrees just from the force of it.
Dang.
The funny thing was, they couldn't use the take because the actor who's supposed to look all badass, you could see his face connect, and he just immediately goes, "Oh no!"
That I'd be that's crazy. I'd be like tripping out if he really connected me if I was in that position, if I got connected like that. Dang.
Oh, I was dazed for a couple minutes there. I just what? And him.
So, when you guys are not, being in films or filmmaking and all that, do you guys have a passion you enjoy? Do you have that one passion that you just like enjoying when you're not filming or acting?
For me, I spend a ridiculous. I consume media. Like my life is spent reading, watching movies, playing video games, trying to travel whenever possible. So, I mean, I think my non-artistic pursuits are pretty pedestrian. I'm basic. I'm a basic bitch.
I mean, kind of the same with me. Lately, I have gone back to playing. We're a bunch of nerds, I presume. So I've gone back to playing Warhammer with some of my friends, which has been a very nice thing to go back to with little models and all of that. And it's been nice just to go back to that because as much as I do love, I watch TV shows and movies and everything as well. But like the tough thing about being an actor most of the time is that half the time you're watching something, you're watching it and like you can't help with some small part of you going like, why wasn't I in this thing? So I had to find some hobby time that was something that was completely disconnected from that world. And so I got back into that hobby, which is a very nice and relaxing thing for me.
I bet
it's funny. I have trouble watching independent films sometimes because I'll be watching a film that isn't very good. And I'm just thinking to myself, where did they get the money? How?
Same.
Where?
Same.
Yeah,
Who are these money angels?
I know. I'm like the same way too. Because lately there's been a lot of independent horror films getting shown, at the theaters now. They're trying to make indie horror films more popular. So and you figure out it's like, okay, how did he get that huge backing to really get pushed, saying, hey, you got to see this film.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, though, and I think this is probably true for you as well, Sam, though. It's like we don't spend a lot of time doing our non-artistic hobbies because as filmmakers, and Sam's also a director, like we're always working on the next project because even though we don't have money for it, at some point, theoretically, we'll have money. So I'm working on scripts for possible things, outlines, treatments. That's my work day.
Now, Sam.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now you're in now you're filming a movie. We were talking before the podcast. This seems like fun, interesting, and cheesy. You're going to be in a film called Pride and Prejudice: Dinosaurs. How'd you become part of that project?
It's actually it's called Natural Selection, but that was its elevator pitch to me. And it's just a proof of concept. So it's basically just something they can show for when they try to raise money for the full feature. I got involved with it just because I actually kind of connected with this. I went to Dances with Films 2 years ago with the Tim Travers short, and I made a bunch of friends there, including one of the folks that helps run the whole festival. Her name's Lindsay. So I follow her on Instagram. She just happened to be reposting somebody's casting call that was asking for characters for this proof of concept, and it happened to be shooting in Maine, which is where I am from originally, and I go back there quite a bit to visit my mom and my family. And I was like, well, you can't shoot something in my home state and not at least give me a call. So I reached out and ended up getting a role on it. And so it was just like, more of the tangential Tim Travers runoff getting me more work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to get some of that runoff myself.
I'd like to get enough to pay some bills. That'd be nice.
Hey, that's why you put your heart and soul in the craft, so when that time comes, when you get that hit role, then you'll be prepared.
Hey, this should be the hit role. Like, let's keep it going.
That's the hope. Right now, to get into it, Tim's doing really well. Like, we've been getting good press. We've been getting good news stories. People like to talk about us. Even the people who don't like us still like to talk about us, which is always a good thing. We're doing really well in the festival circuit. I think we'll be touring with the film for just under another year. But yeah, I actually have very high hopes for Tim Travers. So on that note, anybody listening to this podcast, go follow us on social media, like us on IMDb, give us lots of nice things. Show your love and support.
I definitely will, and I didn't know that was a short film. I would love to go watch the short film. I'm interested now because I did really enjoy this film. I wouldn't mind seeing the short film. I didn't know it was a short film before it was a feature.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the short's fantastic, even as a standalone. And like I think Stimson has already said in a few interviews and Q&As, currently it is shelved, put away until just to not distract from the feature. But by the time the feature actually, is out in the world and has its DVD and what have you, the short will be accompanying it, and so you will be able to see that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if there was going to be a Blu-ray with that special edition. I would so buy it. I'm a strong supporter of physical media, and I don't want it to disappear. I just love collecting films for my movie library.
There'll definitely be a physical release of the film after the streaming and theatrical. So, there'll be a release of it. We're going to have a few special features, the original short. We're going to take at least a few scenes and edit Sam out of them completely, just to show that we can.
That'll be
so many actors.
The Steelbook.
Yeah, that'll be on the Steelbook edition. We'll call it the Babbitt cut.
Yes.
Yeah. David Babbitt is the unsung hero of this production. He is the other actor who actually plays Tim Travers in the film. And does all the over-the-shoulder shots, all the kisses, all the physical contact. So he's very much, in fact, if you look at the credits, he's even fully credited as Beta Tim Travers. So
he is the only reason I have convincing, or hopefully convincing, chemistry with myself, is because I had him to act against in all my more intimate sequences. So he is a godsend.
And the funny thing was about him, because we had to use him for the effects so much, it's no joke. We could literally edit some scenes of this film without Sam.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Hey, I would love to see it too, so I can see the difference between the two.
Well, he's actually in the film. He plays the delivery boy because we wanted to get his face on the screen at one point.
Wow, I didn't know he was a delivery boy. Like I said, I'd never seen the short, but I like that. That's clever.
Yeah, we actually put him on an apple box in the shot where Sam and the delivery guy are standing side by side, because one of the main reasons we cast Babbitt was because of how much they look alike and all the stuff we did to Babbitt's hair to make them look exactly alike. So that's why Babbitt's wearing the hat, to hide the fact that they have identical haircuts. And we put him on an apple box to make him look taller than Sam.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. Wow. Well, you could have made him wear like high-top boots or something, like what they do with Tom Cruise and Sylvester Stallone in films, so they can look tall.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Dig a trench for me.
That would be that. Hey, something that would be cool. But yeah, like I said, I really did enjoy the film, and soon I would love to get it on physical media, and I hope it turns out really good. It seems like at the festivals, and I've been reading up on reviews, it seems like it's all positive reviews, and it seems like you guys got like a good hit on your hands.
That's the hope. And yeah, to anybody who wants to see it in physical media, go out and support the film, because that's what will get us there.
Oh
yeah, I think it's really cannot be said enough that and it's very easy to kind of take for granted, is that film festivals, and coming to see things at film festivals, rating things at film festivals, when they're giving out ballots and what was your favorite movie, all that stuff, it seems so small scale and so is this ever going to amount to anything? But it truly does matter with independent film like this, and it's really the only way any of us have any shot of going up against bigger things, or even just breaking in the first place. It cannot be said enough.
So Stimson, after Tim Travers, What's your next project? You have a certain project you're going to be doing next?
I've got a couple I'm working on. The next one will be whichever one gets money. I'm working on an adaptation of a novel by Yahtzee Croshaw called Jam. I'm also working on that original film that I wanted to do with McHale. So it just kind of depends on whatever gets funded.
What about you, Sam? You're also a filmmaker too. So are you working on any films as well as acting?
Yeah, I actually I just directed my first feature that I wrote and directed last summer, and we are about days away from having that picture locked, and then we're going to do sound and color, and that will be done. I would assume in the next 2 months. So it's a mockumentary comedy called Canoe Dig It, because it is about a fictional freestyle canoeing competition in northern Maine. And I also act in it as well. Stimson was kind enough to be one of our investors and is one of our EPs on the project. And I'm very, very, very excited for how that is coming together. So that will probably be starting its festival run at the beginning of 2025.
That's pretty awesome. I'll give you a lead for you guys, Stimson, for your film. I know some great film festivals you can, submit to after the podcast. I'll give you guys some cool film festivals, especially for your
absolutely
for Europe.
Yeah, we love not just big festivals. We love. I think Sam and I both really love going to the little ones as well because they can be so supportive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally next weekend going to this smaller film festival called Lighthouse, which most people have never even heard of, and I've gone. This will be my third time attending, and it's this very small. It's on Long Beach Island, which is a barrier island in New Jersey, and it's hard to get to, but it's sometimes those small festivals are run so well and are programmed so well that unfortunately they're overlooked in cases, but they're just those diamonds in the rough, just these gems that people don't know about, and you meet wonderful people and just get so much support out of the small ones, just as much as the big ones, if not more so in some cases.
Oh, yeah. And it's fun because we actually have two festivals that same weekend. So Sam's going to be going to Lighthouse, and I'm heading out to Dead Center in Oklahoma. And we're screening, I think, within 42 hours of each other.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know we are the big Friday night screening at Dead Center, and then we have a matinee on Sunday. When are we screening at Lighthouse?
We are, I believe, Saturday evening. I think we're the Saturday evening film for Lighthouse, if I remember correctly.
Nice. We've been getting evening showings all the way.
Yeah.
Now
we should. It's a movie that plays best when you've maybe had a drink and you're ready to get your chuckle on.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that too. Since you're a filmmaker too, Sam, have you ever thought about doing a horror film?
Well, it's funny. Stimson and I actually met in the first place. The whole reason this even exists is because I made a short horror comedy called Rick and Ruby back in 2019, and the last festival it went to before COVID shut everything down was this tiny little festival that I don't think it even exists anymore. And there were more of us filmmakers there than there were actual audience members. And so Stimson and I just happened to be part of the State Shorts block, and went up and did our Q&A afterwards. And that's where I of course put myself in my own movie because I was just like, well, I know how to cast myself, and I'm not getting the roles I want, so I'm going to make my own thing. And he saw what I did and was just like, oh, that's the right manic energy for Tim.
Yeah, it's funny. There's this wonderful photo that was taken of us, and it's probably my favorite photo of me and Sam because Sam is mid-speech in the photo talking about Rick and Ruby, and you could actually see me giving him this side eye where I'm visibly studying him in the frame, like not even listening to him. I'm studying him, and you can tell. And I love that photo of the two of us because I come off like such a creeper in it.
It's one of my favorites. It's just you can just see the moment of like, this is the guy.
Yeah, just the gears are turning.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, no, I'm fully planning on going back to horror after my mockumentary, because got that out, like, basically I like extremes, so I went from Rick and Ruby to this mockumentary, and Rick and Ruby was exceptionally gross and volatile, and then Canoe Dig It is very much the opposite. It's very wholesome and soft, and now I want to go right back to being gross and gnarly again.
What's interesting to me is how weak some people's palates can be. It's like going to all these indie films and grindhouse stuff. Like, Sam and I have pretty extreme definitions of violence, to the point where it shocks me every time someone criticizes Tim Travers for being violent, because I'm always just like, are we though? Like,
I don't think so.
I think we're quite tame.
I agree.
Oh, you guys are less than Disney tamed in this movie. There was nothing super violent about this film.
I mean, I do shoot him in the face with a shotgun twice.
Yeah, and I shoot myself a bunch of times, and then, like, I blow some people up with my mind, but that's kind of it.
It's all very cartoon. It's very Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Acme, because Tim Travers kind of remind me of Wile E. Coyote. You know, he's trying to do all these experiments to see if he gets it right, but there's always a horrible consequence, and it doesn't work the way, and he goes back up to the drawing board and does it again.
Yep, exactly. It does. It has very Looney Tunes energy, which makes me so happy.
Oh, it did, because I felt it. When I was Tim, kind of did remind me of the Wile E. Coyote a little bit too. So,
Perfect.
Exactly. And then Stimson was just a road runner with a gun.
A very good call, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps. Roadrunner should be packing heat.
That's right. So, where can everybody find you on social media to see about Tim Travers and all your other upcoming projects and all that great stuff?
The best place is to go to the official Instagram, which is Tim Travers Instagram. Easy to find.
Tim Travers the movie, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Tim Travers the movie. Connect there with our social media manager, who I believe Sam knows. And
she might be just outside of this room right now.
And that's the best place. We do everything through there. There's also a link tree which goes to all of the good reviews and all of the tickets you can buy for upcoming screenings.
Too bad you guys are not doing the screening in Ohio. I'd so be there.
We are.
Where?
Next week.
Where?
This Dead Center. No, sorry, Oklahoma. Not
No, that's
Ohio.
Oklahoma.
Sorry. I got my O states confused.
Hey, I just want to tell you something. Ohio's where it's at. They're always shooting indie films, and especially they're really big with indie horror films in Ohio too. So,
Yeah. Well, where's Horror Hound? Is that Ohio?
yeah, Horror Hound.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's in Cincinnati. It's happening in September. That is one of my favorite film festivals I love covering. Of course, it's a great convention. And then another great film festival I really enjoy is Days of the Dead Film Festival, too. That's a real good one. And then my favorite one I like to do every October in Columbus, Ohio, is called Nightmares Film Festival. It's a 4-day event, and it's at the Gateway Film Center, which is in partnership with Sundance. That's where everybody from all around and even around the world show their indie horror films and short films. It's really fun. It's like a big horror fun family community.
Nightmares is a really great festival. We know some people involved with it because we are really good friends with a lot of folks at Nevermore Film Festival in North Carolina, and I know there is some crossover with, I think, maybe the programmers there, but Nightmares I've always heard really wonderful things about. I haven't attended yet, but I would love to.
It is. That's my favorite horror film festival I love covering, because I do cover a lot of festivals as well, but that one and Horror Hound, the Days of the Dead are my top 3 I really enjoy, but there's other great ones out there as well I've enjoyed too, but those are my top 3. So... But anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming out of your busy time to hang out with me tonight.
Hey,
of course. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight.